Can a clear glass vase look like a forgotten piece of ancient pottery hidden in a ruined castle? Today I'm layering crackled textures, dramatic antiquing, shimmering silver, and an air-dry clay peacock to turn something completely plain into a dark, moody, mixed media masterpiece. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc. And welcome to my channel. If you're ready, my friends, let's make a mess. The first thing I'm going to do is wipe my glass vase down with some alcohol. This removes any dirt, oil, or fingerprints. This way I can start with a nice clean surface. I'm going to brush on Polyvine's multi-surface lacquer in a dead flat finish. I'm using the dead flat finish because I want to remove the shine. It's specially formulated to create a durable bond on slick, non-porous surfaces such as plastic, glass, ceramic, and metal. That bond acts as a gripping layer that allows paints, decoupage papers, or transfers to stick more effectively. Without it, top layers may chip, scratch, or peel. For best results, I'm going to let this dry overnight. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from decoupagenapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. I'm using my favorite DOS clay to make an awesome peacock embellishment for this project. DOS clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. After pressing the clay into the mold, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. Now I'm smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid, so they just pop out of the mold easily. No fragile pieces will break off. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily these just pop out of the molds. No delicate little pieces will break off. They are frozen solids, so I'll need to let them thaw for a few minutes, but not in the mold. Make sure you remove them from the mold right away as soon as you take them out of the freezer. While they're thawing, I take that time to smooth out the edges and remove any little pieces of clay that shouldn't be there. While they're still somewhat frozen is a great time to do this. They're still hard, so touching them won't destroy all that beautiful detail. They do thaw quickly and will be ready to glue to your project within a few minutes. I'm going to use Aleene's tacky glue to add my molded clay to my piece. I need to add this while the clay is still wet so it'll conform to the piece as it dries. This is the best glue I've found for attaching wet clay. If any glue seeps out from under the clay, I'm removing it right away with a clean, damp brush. I'm also pressing down all the edges of the clay very delicately to make sure they're all connecting with the piece. I put my glue on the back of a silicone mold, and I'm using a silicone makeup brush to apply the glue to the back of my clay. Since they're silicone, they wash up nicely and no art brushes get destroyed. My crafty friend, Jeannie G, said her hubby gives her flowers all the time. She wanted to see what she could do with all the glass vases. Here you go, Jeannie. This video is for you. I'm going to let this dry overnight. I'm painting the entire background on the vase using Pentart paint in the color Off-White. This is a cool off-white and is almost a very light gray. I was in a hurry to get this peacock on my vase, but I actually should have painted the glass before adding my clay. And in hindsight, I should have painted the background the same dark gray that I'm going to use on my paint technique. I'm going to do a crackle, which ends up showing through the inside of the glass. If you use dark paint, that won't happen. So if you duplicate this or do something similar, make sure you remember all of that. And then I let this dry for about 30 minutes. Pentart makes something called 3D balls, And this is going to add so much interest and texture to this piece. And this isn't the end of the texture. I'm going to add a couple of other techniques as well. So make sure you stick around. This vase is going to end up looking like ancient pottery or concrete. Tell me which one you think it looks like. I poured some into a paper bowl and added some Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color cotton, a spritz of water, and then added a little bit of Aleene's tacky glue, then mixed it all up. Now I'm going to add this to the vase using my palette knife. I'm putting it around the peacock and around the bottom of the vase. Because you're watching this video today, decoupagenapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. Now I'm going to add some crackle paste here and there. I'm putting it on with my palette knife with no rhyme or reason, thick in some places and thinner in others. Now I'm mixing my white chalk paint with Pentart 3D powder for even more texture. I'm using a brush to dab this on. I'm going around the 3D balls and in between the crackle paste I just put on there. I'm even taking some of it up onto the crackle paste. I'm putting it on there thick and globby for as much texture as I can get. I used a smaller brush to get into a couple of tight spots between the 3D balls. So I'm going to let this dry overnight. Look at all that texture. I'm using Pentart paint in the color gray, which is just a nice medium gray, to cover the entire vase. When I'm painting something with a lot of texture, I look at it from all angles to make sure I'm getting complete coverage. After it dries, I check it again. Any of the products I use in my videos are wonderful products that I personally believe in, so you can bet that each one is a great product. Everything I use will be listed in my description box below. Each one will have a blue link, so they're easy for you to find. Any links I provide are safe for you to click on. To find my description box, click on the word more just below the title of this video. Now comes the fun part. I'm going to add some additional paint colors to create some shadows, depth, and dimension, and just a really cool look. I'm using the color Castle, which is just a gray beige color. You can mix a little gray paint with some beige paint and get this same color. I'm also using a dark gray and a little bit of black. I sprayed some water on the paints to thin them. They'll go on a little easier and blend better. I'm just dabbing the paint on with my brush and mixing the colors up. I'm not trying for full coverage. I used a sponge to blend the colors together a little. I added some black right up next to the peacock and among the 3D balls to add some amazing shadows. I'm not including the peacock in this mishmash of colors. He's going to get painted one solid color in a little bit. DecoupageNapkins.com has an amazing selection of napkins, and the best part is that you can purchase them individually. They carry a wide range of craft supplies, including rice paper, paints, clay, molds, and an excellent selection of polyvine products. With thousands of items available and new products being added regularly, it's truly a one-stop shop for crafters. Orders are carefully packed and shipped quickly. You'll earn bonus points on orders over $100. Additional offers may vary and are often seasonal, so be sure to check their website. You'll find any promotions displayed in a banner at the top of their homepage. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address to receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 code and may be used on an additional purchase. I'll leave links to all the products I use in the description box below. Please note that all offers are subject to change. To find my description box, click on the word "More" below the title of this video. I'm painting the Peacock that gray beige color. I want him lighter than the background so he stands out, but yet still in the same color family. I just want to take a moment, all of my crafty friends, to say thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying the content, it would be great if you could take a quick second and hit the like and hype buttons. I appreciate you for doing that. I have some awesome new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm going to give the entire vase a coat of polyvine heavy-duty varnish in the satin finish. I'll be doing an antiquing technique and need a shine on everything for it to work properly. Anytime you're going to antique a project, you need a shiny surface. This is my favorite polyvine formula. I use it on just about every project. It's moisture and heat resistant as well as food safe and will never yellow. I don't know how, but I missed filming a small portion of this. I added a little of the dark gray to the Peacock to add a little interest to an otherwise plain color. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm mixing up a black antique for this project. I put about 2 teaspoons of glazing medium in a little paper cup. I added a very small amount of black paint and a spritz of water. I don't want a heavy antique, just enough to make details stand out. And I definitely didn't want a brown antique since everything in this project is black and gray. So I love the fact that you can make custom antiques using a glazing medium. It lengthens the dry time of the paint, which gives you a longer working time. I'm brushing my antique on the piece, going over and around all the embellishments. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft, dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all the cracks and crevices, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives your embellishments some depth and dimension, making everything look 3D instead of flat. What a difference it makes. Everything just comes to life now. When I'm going over where the 3D balls are, I'm dabbing more than wiping. It's impossible to wipe around and in between them, so dabbing works better. This is really making the Peacock stand out. Some of the 3D balls were so dense, I had to spray a little bit of water to be able to remove any of the antiquing. In most of my videos, you'll see me using a lot of different tools that make life so much easier. Things like a turquoise cup cradle to keep round objects from getting away, a bodabra that makes bows in a snap, a water brush for separating rice paper and napkins, small art brushes for fine detail work, palette knives, and a rhinestone picker. If you're interested in checking out any of these items, you can find them listed in my description box below, in my favorite tools section. To find my description box, click on the word "More" just below the title of this video. I'll let this dry for a couple hours. I don't want this vase to look shiny and new, so I'm giving it a final sealer that's a dead flat finish. I am still using Polyvine heavy duty varnish, but not the satin finish for this step. And then I'll let that dry for about an hour. I'm going to highlight everything on this vase by doing some dry brushing with Pentart paint and the color silver. I'm dipping just the tip of my brush into the paint. I'm wiping off most of it on the side of the paint jar, then wipe even more of it off on a paper towel. You want your brush almost completely dry to get the proper effect. I'm skimming just the tip of my brush across the high points on the embellishment. You don't want the paint to go into any of the cracks or crevices, just lightly across the top. The silver paint is making all that texture stand out beautifully. You can get some really nice effects with dry brushing. First the shadows, then the highlights. What a great combination. Since everything I did is on the outside of this glass vase, you can actually use it for live flowers or even a plant. The Polyvine sealers that I used are moisture resistant. You can even wipe off this vase with a wet washcloth. Don't submerge it in water or put it in the dishwasher though. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. I'm using a flat sponge dauber to edge the top of the vase with the silver paint. The flat edge of the dauber gives you a nice clean line when painting an edge. Just make sure you don't put a lot of paint on the sponge. After dipping, wipe most of the paint off. If you enjoyed this video, I have a playlist where you can find a lot of other mixed media projects. Click the picture on the right to watch some other projects you may enjoy. Thanks for watching, and if you don't want to miss any new projects, you can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.